Alright, ladies, gentlemen, and those of unspecified gender, this is the surprise commentary track I was talking about. It's, well, obviously from the title you know what this is, but it's the Fantastic Four movie from 2005, the first official Fantastic Four movie. Alright, now we got the 20th Century Fox logo, just so that you can sync up with me. And now we got the pages flashing of Marvel Comics. It's really cool that the intro was blue for this movie because they wear blue suits. I like that. I like the theme song for this movie too. That dun 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 dun. It's pretty good. I actually saw this movie like when I was about the same age as I saw Batman Begins, which I guess would make sense, wouldn't it? They came out roughly around the same time. It's just like a couple weeks or a couple months, a couple months apart. I never know how to pronounce Mr. Fantastic's actor's name. Is it Ion Griffith, something like that? Griffith, maybe? Ion Griffith? Isn't he in that Sweeney Todd movie? There's Doom, who unfortunately just passed away. Julian McMahon. Rest in peace. It was on July 2nd that he passed away. I'm recording this on July 6th. He was born in 1968, though, apparently. That's like less than 10 years since the Fantastic Four were created. 1961. I'm not sure of like the actual date of the first issue, but the cover date I'm pretty sure is November 1961 for Fantastic Four #1, and that kicks off the mainline 616 universe. It's why they're called Marvel's first family. This movie might honestly be like the beginning of quote unquote MCU humor, because this one and the sequel have that kind of humor in them. I can't think of another movie from around this time that has a similar kind of humor. Like, I guess maybe the Spider-Man movies, but those are more so just him making those jokes. Jessica Alba. Very beautiful. You know what? I actually like her in that Spy Kids movie, All the Time in the World. She's also in Sin City too, I think, which I've never actually seen all the way through. So if I watch it for one of these, it'll be the first time. Now, this is a little different from the comics, how they go into space. There's Johnny, by the way. I think Human Torch is my favorite Fantastic Four member. But they were in college together, I think, when they went to space or something. No, wait. They were adults, I'm pretty sure, like out of college, but I think they might have been fresh out of college is what it was. It's been a little bit since I've read that issue. But Doctor Doom doesn't go with them in the comic. They meet him like a few issues later. And I don't think they know each other from college in this movie either. Reed and Doom. There's a prototype of the Fantastic Four suits that they'll wear in the movie. A young Chris Evans. Pre-Captain America, by the way. It's like 6 years before he became Captain America. That's crazy. And like, I first saw this movie kind of in a rough time period in my life. I think it'd be pretty fair to say that, but my aunt took me to see this, and that was really nice. She also bought me a coloring book of the Fantastic Four after we saw this. I think a lot of the art in that book was based off of the Ultimate Fantastic Four comics. I feel like a lot of the merchandise from like the mid-2000s of Marvel had a lot of the Ultimate Comics art on there. I'm pretty sure I also had an Ultimate Spider-Man coloring book at some point. And I've been reading like all of these early Fantastic Four comics too. And not just that, like the whole Marvel universe, but for Fantastic Four, I've read like 140 issues so far. The first 140. I really like the series. really excited for the new movie too. Fantastic Four coming to the MCU. Yeah, the last issue that I read had Annihilus in it, which would be pretty cool to see in a Marvel movie. I think he's one of my favorite Fantastic Four villains besides Doctor Doom. Parts of my childhood really weren't the best, but going to see movies like this was a bright spot for sure. Things turned around that year around September-ish, I would say. Right around my birthday. The aunt that I mentioned actually looked after me for a couple of months. And my uncle that is now passed away, unfortunately. Alright, that sets up that conflict. The conflict of her and Reed's relationship. I have 4 little words that can change our lives forever. Will you marry me? I don't think she likes you, dude. Or at least not like that. Maybe she likes him, but just doesn't love him. I think that's a better way of phrasing that. Here's where they're stuck in the cosmic radiation. The origin of their fantastic superpowers. No pun intended. Maybe a little bit intended. And yeah, and here's her going to try to rescue him. Benjamin J. Grimm, the ever-loving thing. You know what, that actually does look pretty cool for the 2000s. You can see the flames, that's cool. Yeah, she disappears. And there's him stretching, okay. That's cool. We don't have any foreshadowing of Ben's powers, though. I think it's because they wanted to make that a reveal. I do think the practical suit that they made for Thing looks really good in this movie. And I like this little tease. They think we're supposed to think that he's the Thing already, but it's just Johnny being an asshole. Oh, the white sideburns. You know, I don't think he had those in the beginning in the comics. I think it took a couple of issues before we got those. Could be wrong about that, though. Because he knows her. He's in love with her. How sweet. In these supervillain movies, they've always got the board of directors kicking out the villains and of their own companies. Like in Spider-Man. Out am I? You got Johnny hitting on this nurse. Chris Evans really played this role well. Surprising that he was so good at Captain America as well. More of a kind of straight-laced character. Oh, he does have those in his first appearance. For some reason, I was thinking that he didn't. The sideburns, I mean. Maybe you should date him. I love this song. The subtitles are funny though, because it says rock music playing and then man singing. But that man is Derek Whibley. Little known fact about me, I'm pretty sure that Sum 41 is my favorite band. I've listened to all their albums like multiple times. Their final one that they came out with, I think was really good. Heaven and hell. My future wife. I don't know where they're at in the song, but it's no apologies. I never thought you'd be so easily deceived. I have no idea if I was on the song there or not. I was turning on fire, flaming on for the first time. He's like, oh. There he goes. Human Torch. Care to join me? He's like, I made a jacuzzi. Accidentally. Marvel actually had a universe before the main 616 universe of today. It was I'm not sure what the number would be, but it was like the one that started with Timely Comics, and then Marvel's first ever comics was just called Marvel Comics, and like the original Human Torch was in that, but the first Human Torch is an android, and he fought with Captain America in World War II. And they also had Namor the Submariner in that issue, which is another kind of Fantastic Four character. Made his big screen debut in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Which, speaking of Black Panther, his first appearance was actually in a Fantastic Four comic. I want to say it was like issue 54 or something like that. That's where Ben's starting to become the Thing. Oh, it was 52. Okay. I think the first place that I heard of Black Panther from was from the animated Ultimate Avengers movie. I remember really liking those. Those were also based off of the Ultimate Comics line. But in the comics they were called the Ultimates. The books were anyway. I think they were still called the Avengers and those. As she's turning invisible. I can't. Nice. You can see the exact moment where the CGI ended and his real arm began. That's funny. Oh yeah, and he does the finger snap where it lights on fire. Yeah, there we go. Blood everywhere. Oh god, that means that his schlong was on fire too. I don't think I've ever thought about that, but that is what happens technically. His schlong and his balls. Yeah, there's where he becomes the Thing. He's got a rocky schlong, kind of a stone-like one. Just sliding his fingers underneath the door. What did they do? Take a model of his hand and just like stretch it with the VFX? Although I will say, for 2005, the stretchy CGI isn't that bad. It's a lot better than the unreleased Fantastic Four movie, but that's because I never had a chance to finish those effects. But I'm still sure they wouldn't have looked that good anyway. That was in like 1994? 95 maybe? Disney just needs to like release that movie officially. They do like a limited release in theaters or something. I feel like that'd have enough of an audience to support that. Because I have actually watched that movie like a long time ago. I didn't really like it, but it did have some things about it that were good for sure. Like Doctor Doom looked awesome. The Thing actually did look pretty good in that movie too. Like some visual stuff like that I liked, but other than that there wasn't much. Mr. Fantastic sticks his hand out of a window and he does a wave with the stretchiness. That was funny. Or I guess if they didn't want to release it in theaters, you can just put it on Disney Plus. Just track it down and put it on there. Whatever they gotta do to make that happen. Now, this wife character was not in the comics. Or fiance, I should say. I don't think they're married. Yep, there's the first look at the Thing. I do think that does look pretty good. Don't run away from your fiance. I mean, I know that he looks scary and everything, but just give it a few minutes. I don't know. Maybe she's thinking about his Rocky Schlong. He's like, that's not going in me. I don't know where that's going, but not in here. And there's a jumper. That's kind of dark for a 2000 superhero movie. That's further. Come close. This part's really cool. Where he stops that truck, yeah. Caused a big wreck on the bridge, though. I do remember that his vocal cords are kind of rock-like too, so that's why his voice sounded a little different when he shouted fine. Oh yeah, she could, because she's Invisible Woman. At first in the comics they just called her Invisible Girl. I'm not actually sure when she gets the title of Invisible Woman. But they were just kind of sexist back then. 2000s humor, am I right? I did think there's a scene with that, though, in the second one that's pretty funny. Oh yeah, the Invisible Girl thing. I mean, it made sense to call Batgirl back then, because she was like a literal teenager when she becomes Batgirl. But yeah, I think these people in the comics were like probably early to mid-20s at the latest. So she's been an adult for a minute at least. I think, anyway. Johnny was still a teenager. They gave Human Torch his own kind of series. It was in Strange Tales, which is the same series that Doctor Strange debuted. Oh yeah, he's got to save that girl from the explosion. The Dalmatian hiding his face. Or force field. You know, this set piece is actually pretty cool. Where they all got to use their powers. I like that. Not the ladder extending. See, the Fantastic Four were in Final Destination. That bridge scene wouldn't have gone down like that. Although if they were just starting out like this, maybe there'd still be a couple of casualties. But yeah, this scene pretty much functions as them becoming public figures, pretty much. How the public finds out about them. Oh yeah, the dramatic taking the ring off and throwing it at him. Oh wait, no, she doesn't throw it. Okay, she sets it. At least she doesn't throw it. But still. Poor Ben. And he's only got 4 fingers instead of 5 now. Yeah, that's a story beat in the original comics too. Mr. Fantastic trying to cure the Thing. And it does work sometimes, but it never quite sticks. Yep, and there was the name drop, Fantastic Four. He's like, well, I guess that would be me then. Or they can make Invisible Woman the leader. I mean, she's pretty smart too. But it's because he's the leader in the comics, so that makes sense. I guess when they become married in the comics, she is kind of like the co-leader in a way. Also, little trivia fact: the annual issue of Fantastic Four where they get married is like, at the time it was like the first like big Marvel crossover, and I'm pretty sure actually the first crossover does take place in Fantastic Four comics as well. It's where the Hulk and Nick Fury both cross over in the same issue. And then the Thing and the Hulk have kind of a rivalry throughout the comics too, where they fight each other every so often. I started this company. Do you know how much I've sacrificed? We're pulling out, and he's like, oh, I've never done that before in my life. It's gonna be so much fun when I do a commentary track for the first Spider-Man movie, by the way. I've seen that movie like a million times. I'm gonna drink like a caffeinated drink or something and just let myself go. If you think flaming schlongs and rock schlongs are crazy, just wait until then. Don't do drugs. Parents are like, yeah. There you go. The kids are like, what are those? Like, there's the mailman of the Baxter Building, Mr. Stan Lee. Also, may he rest in peace. First Stan Lee cameo of the commentaries. I'm not sure when the first Stan Lee cameo was, actually. It might have been the first Spider-Man. Wait, no. X-Men was before Spider-Man, wasn't it? So it'd be X-Men. So I'm pretty sure he wasn't in the first Blade movie. I'm not sure if he shows up in the second one either, though, to be honest with you. There's Reed's Lab. Oh yeah, no, he wasn't in any of the Blade movies, I guess. There's a few of the Marvel movies where he doesn't show up. Notably, he didn't even show up in the 2015 Fantastic Four movie, which is probably my least favorite Marvel movie of all time. So it's understandable he wouldn't want to show up in that one. But to be fair, he was pretty old, so could have had some kind of health issue or something. I made it so that he couldn't show up. When he died, he died when he was like 90 something, I think. $95. Wow. It's a long life. He must have extended his life a little bit from his Marvel riches. Him and Jack Kirby together. Jack King Kirby. It's kind of contested, like who's responsible for what characters, but I mean, the way I look at it is that Stan Lee most likely came up with the backstories and the conflicts and stuff like that, and it was Jack Kirby that gave them their iconic looks. That's pretty much how I see that. Although I'm sure Jack Kirby's, he had some ideas over time. Like I think the Silver Surfer was probably his idea, and he had the New Gods and DC Comics and stuff like that. Also, by the way, one of my favorite issues of the early Fantastic Four comics is the debut of Galactus. I think it was also the first Silver Surfer issue. I don't think that CGI for Human Torch is really that bad either. Definitely looks more cartoonish, but I think it looks alright for what they're trying to go for. Yeah, his internal organs are rock-like. Also, did you know that in the comics, Thing is technically supposed to be orange instead of brown? Like, as the comics go on, I think they darken him a bit. So he's more of like an orangish brown now. I'm pretty sure there are comics where he's just brown. Like a dark brown color. No, not sweet. He's like, well, yeah. Burned holes right through his shirt. And there's Doom discovering his powers, which his only powers in the comics is just magic. Basically. He's like super intelligent as well, but this more so from his own studies instead of some like superpower. We've never had a live action Magic Doom, so I hope they make him magic in the MCU. Although okay, let me go on this little tangent real quick. I feel like the perfect opportunity for him to be magic would have been 2015. Like if they wanted to make him a geek like they did, he could have been into like Dungeons and Dragons or something, and he could have like gotten magic powers and was inspired by, the Dungeons and Dragons game or something like that. I feel like that would have worked. I feel like fans still probably wouldn't have liked it, but I think it's better than what we ended up getting. I'm probably going to spend that whole commentary track just complaining about that movie. Unless one of the few like good things about it pops up on the screen. Although people are saying that they'd want Miles Teller to be the Maker character for Secret Wars. I think that'd be pretty cool. Because the Maker is like the evil Mr. Fantastic. And I think it's supposed to be the one from Ultimate Comics. Bring it back to that. Well, he does take the pants. What's with these superhero movies making fun of the comic book costume things? Because they do have belts in the comics sometimes, but they're not like Batman utility belts. They're just more for accessories or whatever. It's like the first X-Men movie, and they're like, what would you prefer, yellow spandex? And it's like the fans are like, yes, we want the yellow spandex. But for the time, I guess those suits looked alright. Like, they at least add some colored trim to those. It's something. I think Wolverine's with the yellow trim looks pretty good. There's actually a deleted scene of this movie where, like, Mr. Fantastic morphs his head into Wolverine. It's like, I think it's the hair that he changes into. I think one of the very first Fantastic Four comics I've actually read was a crossover with the X-Men. And away, and away, and away, and away, and away, babadee-o. Whoops. Or at least he could be honest when he said he didn't see anything. He's trying to shave and pulling his cheek down to do it. He grabbed the toilet paper with a stretchy arm. Johnny! I love this movie, like, actually. Even if Doctor Doom isn't quite right. They didn't even mention Latveria in this, I don't think. There's like a little reference to it at the way in, but it's not something that they ever mentioned by name. There's his hand going all silver and electrical. Which I guess for what they were trying to do, it works well enough. Like, he can use electricity in the comics with magic, but it's not like a natural ability of his. Although I do think the mask in this movie, when we get to that, actually does look really cool. They kind of killed it with the, like, costuming and the practical effects in this movie. I think that's kind of an underrated aspect to this. I mean, they even probably had to do some kind of makeup for his hands turning all metallic like that. Just burned a hole straight through him. That's crazy. His powers are kind of like the Iron Man song by Black Sabbath. Because in that song, they describe a guy that is, like, in a magnetic field, and his body turns to metal in a magnetic field. But, I don't think I've ever had popcorn like that. I've just always had it from the bag or from the movie theater. Not that, like, foil kind. I don't think I've ever eaten that before in my life. There's a nice red car. Torched. Does Reed pay them a salary? Is that what we're supposed to think? Oh, he's got the Dominic Toretto muscle car going on there. the Charger, I think it is. Oh yeah, this part. I like this part. You know, there's a time where like BMX sports like that were much more popular. I remember that. Nice. There's some cheerleaders. Wearing some pretty revealing tops. 2000s, you know. I think that's a pretty cool effect when he gets all orange like that. And the flame on. That's really cool. Not the only Marvel movie in the 2000s that has a motorcycle accident scene, by the way. If you've seen Ghost Rider, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Not the only Marvel movie with a flaming character that has a motorcycle accident in the 2000s. And he's wearing the suit underneath. They finally see the 4 on there. Looks really cool. It's like a silver 4 instead of white. And yeah, their color scheme in the comics is mostly like either yellow and white, or not yellow, blue and white, or like blue and black. I'll do that sometimes when I'm talking about it. I'll just say the wrong thing and just like, I don't even know why I said the wrong. I do that with times a lot too. Like, I don't know. Now I'm gonna kill him. Yeah, she thought Johnny added the 4, but it was Reed that did that. I used to have a Thing action figure when I was a kid, and it came with like the crumpled up car. I thought that was pretty cool. I had a few of the superhero toys when I was younger. Like one of my uncles gave me Wolverine and the Beast for Christmas one year. It was the Marvel Legends versions of those. I still got them in a bin, but they've both broken in some way or the other. Like, the Wolverine figure doesn't have his shoulder pads anymore, and the Beast figure has some missing fingers. And a lot of my action figures actually had like little different colors of paint on them because I'd like smack them together like they were fighting. I used to do that a lot. And I did end up actually breaking the Thing action figure when I was a kid. I think his torso came apart or something like that. Because he had a bendable torso. Is there any higher? I mean, that's a good question. It does seem pretty great to me. But of course, they gotta become superheroes, so yeah. It's like, I mean, hey, money and bitches, am I right? Should I do superhero movie at some point, by the way? Because that is technically based on comics. Just parodying them. Because what made me think of that is what I said, because Leslie Nelson is in that movie, and he's like, don't forget the bitches. It's not about fame or the bitches, or something like that. Yeah. Like, make fun of Batman and Spider-Man in that movie. The main character. It's actually been a while since I've watched that one. Maybe I will do that at some point. Now, I don't remember what this song was. No, yeah, Skip says he walks. That's pretty funny. And he falls down on the floor from the stool. From the stool. And this movie also doesn't reference Yancey Street, but in the comics, Ben Grimm has this little rivalry with the kids on Yancey Street. They're like his kind of frenemies. And that character that they just showed, she's in the comics, but she's white in the comics. Alicia Masters. Actually, in the comics, her dad is a supervillain called the Puppet Master that can take control of people. I think as far as villains go, he's pretty cool. And there's an issue with Spider-Man where it's like the Thing teams up with Spider-Man, and I think they end up the first Puppet Master ends up dying in that one. Marvel Team Up number whatever, I don't know. One of the first ones though. She actually plays a role in like convincing Silver Surfer to stand against Galactus too, because she wanted to show him like why humans were good or something like that, something to that effect, and then that's when he like betrays Galactus and that whole deal happens. Which I'll probably go more into that when we reach the second one, because that's the story that movie's based on mostly. And it's also based on like an issue that happens with Silver Surfer and Galactus like after their first story. Kind of pulls from different places. That's something I've noticed actually reading like a lot of these early Marvel comics, is that these movies will pull from like several different places. It's kind of like how Thor Ragnarok was like had the Ragnarok storyline in there, and that was Planet Hulk. And they kind of mashed those together because Marvel can't just make a Hulk movie. And honestly, to be honest with you, I think the only reason Universal even wants the Hulk is for the roller coaster from Universal. I'm not sure, but I mean, maybe they can come up with some kind of agreement where they could keep the coaster and like the Marvel theming for Islands of Adventure, but Marvel could like officially make a movie. I don't know. They also kind of did that with the new Captain America movie where they did the Red Hulk thing and stuff like that. Or, maybe hypothetically they could make like a She-Hulk movie that could just be called like Hulks or something, and have her and Bruce be the main characters. I feel like that would be alright. I'm not sure how that would go legally though. But at least they made the She-Hulk show, and I don't think Universal had any part in that. I think it's just that they can't make like a solo Hulk movie. It's basically what it boils down to. Yeah, I think this scene is what I was talking about, where he morphs his face into Wolverine. They cut that out. There's actually a really funny blooper, and I think the first X-Men movie where someone dressed as Spider-Man just runs through. the whole cast just burst out laughing. It's pretty great. I'm not sure if it would have been Toby under there or what, but they were trying to make a Leo DiCaprio Spider-Man movie in the 90s, so I suppose it could have been that as well. I'd probably just make a whole video on canceled superhero movies, because there's quite a lot of them. Like there was gonna be a Justice League movie in the 2000s called Justice League Mortal, and that ended up getting canceled. I've actually read like a lot of the script for that one too. I don't remember what it was about though. It's been a while. I think they had Armie Hammer as Batman. I can't remember any of the other castings off the top of my head though. I'm not sure who their Superman was. If it was Brandon Routh or someone else, I don't know. You remember my name? Yeah, he's like, well, damn, man, I'm trying to do a few different things here. I'm trying to be more talkative in these, because I don't want you just sitting there and just like watching this without hearing from me for a while. Yeah, there's something that happens in the comics a lot too, where they'll just get in the little scuffles, but they all make up in the end. There's like even some issues where they end up fighting each other. Stuff like that. Something that this movie doesn't do, though, that I really appreciate is part of the sexism of the early comics, where, like, Mr. Fantastic will either, like, be controlling of Invisible Woman, or he'll, like, kind of invalidate her feelings. You know? Just how things were back then, I suppose. Doesn't make it right. It just kind of was, you know. Like a lot of the humor in the 2000s, like I'm not one that gets really offended by offensive humor, but you know, there's some people out there that think some things are off limits. I think it all depends on the purpose of the joke. If it's just to be like silly and get a laugh, I think it's alright. But if it's like mean nature, then then like I can understand being offended by it. Well, that's just how I feel about it. Like in the 2000s, you also hear some slurs too, like the R word and the F slur for homosexual people. My younger cousin actually used to say that word a lot. Unfortunately, I'm not even sure if he even meant it in a derogatory way. He just kind of said it. There he is, going to test the chamber. So that means we're reaching kind of the third act of this movie. Because, as you might not be surprised by, I've seen this movie quite a bit. It's not quite as much as like The Dark Knight or like the Raimi Spider-Man movies, but some like probably seen it about 20 times at least. Especially when I was a kid. I used to watch this movie a lot when I was a kid. But now I include it in my like MCU watch theory because I like to watch the multiverse movies with it now too. Looks like he's having a stroke, just like a really exaggerated one, with his face being all elastic and everything. Alright, let's finish up this movie. So I can tell from where we are, not very far from the end here. I'm currently enjoying some Fantastic Four Pop-Tarts. The promotion for the new movie coming out. There's Ben again as a human. But here's where Doctor Doom reveals that his motives aren't so, what's the word I'm looking for? Virtuous. There you go. That works. Selfless, I think, was the word I was trying to find. This is how I learned what happens to rubber when it's super cooled. Fun fact. I like that mask. I think it looks really good. It's definitely more in line with the 2000s look for Doctor Doom. No, let's. You're fired? Get out of here. Like the Cat in the Hat, where he goes, "You're fired!" There's the line. It's clobbering time. Human Torture's like, that's not our name. I do think this action set piece is actually really cool too. Especially how they trap him like that. At least their science lessons are a little more useful than Storm's in the original X-Men, where she goes, "You know what happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else." And it's like, okay. Now he proposed. With a gasket ring, apparently. I love that too, the Flaming Four. Woo! I have this little mid-credit scene. And he's being shipped off to Latveria. Sweet. And that's the first officially released Fantastic Four movie. You gotta put official in there, or else people will correct you about the 90s version that Roger Corman made. So, Stan Lee was credited as Willie Lumpkin, and that's a real, like, comic books character, too. He's literally just the mailman for the Baxter Building. I'm also gonna do like the Marvels popularized and have a little clip at the end of the video. Let me know in the comments if you see it or not. There's a key grip named Kevin Smith, but it's spelled with a Y instead of an I. Alright, looks like we're reaching the end here. Thanks for watching and everything. So I've got these fantastic Pop-Tarts.
Okay, so I'll see you. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
See what they got printed on them. Let's see. So it looks like the front Pop-Tart and both of these have the 4 printed on them. This in slightly different areas. Let's see what's behind this one. The Fantastic Four First Steps movie logo. That's cool. What's behind this one? It's the same thing. I think some of them have the characters printed on them, but I'm not sure.